Hello and welcome to Retech, and today I'm going to look at something I wasn't really planning on doing because I was kind of out and about looking at motorbikes basically today. I was scrolling through having a look at something that I might want to get kind of next year or the beginning of next year, just to replace one of my long running bikes. And I kind of stumbled across this, not stumbled in across it in a way that I didn't know about it, or stumbled across it in a way, oh, that I didn't realize they even built one of these kind of way. It was stumbled across it because it was a Black Friday deal. And I'm not really one for these because most of the time these Black Friday deals aren't, they're a bit of, in my opinion, they're a little bit of a con because it's stuff that they couldn't sell 6 months earlier, or they have products that have been specially cost reduced for Black Friday deals and so on. So, I'm not really that interested in it. But this kind of caught my eye because it hasn't been out long. I wasn't going to get one of these because I do have the 64 Mini, and I also have the 64 full-size version and the VIC-20 full-size version as well. So this really wasn't on my kind of radar to grab because it doesn't on paper do anything else than what the Mini does, or the Maxi does, or even the VIC-20 full-size version does. So I was going to give this one a little bit of a miss because so far I have every retro games console that they brought out, from the original Mini through to the Maxis, through to the limited edition VIC-20 version, through to the 400 and the Amiga Mini. And I've also pre-ordered the Amiga 1200, which is probably due out in about 8 or 9 months time. But, it's a bit of a wait, but, it's not the be all or end all because I built myself a one anyway a long time ago, which you can see on my videos below. So if you have a look, you will see a couple of videos back that I just went through the Amiga 500 replica, which also runs Amiga 1200 stuff that I built a long time ago. So as you can see, not something that was on my radar, something that I was planning to do. But what intrigued me were the modern games on the back, and also what intrigued me even more was the fact that I don't think these are selling, or not very well, or not as well as intended, because they were reduced by almost or nearly half of the original retail value, which, considering it's only been out for weeks, um, is a bit of a strange one, really, because you're still now, if you can find one for sale, paying the same amount of money for the Maxi, and even the original Commodore 64 Mini costs more than what I paid for this, or C64 Mini, or the C64 Mini, or whatever, whichever if you want to pronounce it. So I was quite kind of shocked at the fact that this had dropped in price already, although in certain places they're still selling for full retail price. But, I thought, let's get hold of one, let's have a look and see what it's all about. So I'm just going to go through it. I'm not going to go through everything in detail because I think it's been done to death. But first of all, it's packaged really nicely. It is really well done. All of their products are well packaged. Sometimes I think, especially on this model, the packaging's had probably more thought than the machine itself, or the contents of the box. And it's really nicely done. Now, if you have a look at the images on here, should they have really called it the Commodore 16 Mini? Maybe, because it looks suspiciously like a full-size Commodore 16 in, these kind of colors. In fact, I have a destroyed one which I haven't got round to fixing, right here. And it's sort of the same color, really. It's kind of the same thing. So they might have missed a trick really on this one, but you know, I mean, it is Commodore 64 and it has Commodore 64 games. Now, the other thing that really kind of intrigued me against this is the games library. The games library is quite small. There's 25 games on here, but they're all fairly modern games. And it's got things like Sam's Journey, etc. Millie Molly, quite other kind of games which I don't think I've come across that much really, because I'm more into my kind of older retro-ish style stuff on this type of platform, or even the original platforms like the original Commodore 64s. But you know, it's got the Seeds of Doom, the Escape, Steel Ranger, Yeti Mountain, and it's kind of something that I wouldn't mind looking into. Now, just briefly before we go and looking into this, I just want to kind of make a point that I think this kind of retro system from this company is great at trying to keep the kind of 8-bit legends alive. But I think this really should be maybe the last 64 kind of platform that they're doing, because you know they could do a 16 platform or a +4 platform, or to be honest, I think they would be better off kind of moving towards the maybe Atari ST instead. Do an Atari ST, a fully fledged Atari 520, 1040, etc. ST, and I think that would be a good direction to go, because after the Amiga 1200 that they're producing now, they're kind of limiting themselves to what other kind of Commodore machines they can do. And also, I think with the way that Commodore's been sold to basically another YouTuber, which I'm sure you all know about it. He goes by the name of Perifractic. They're going to have a little bit of problems probably further down the line trying to get licenses and so on to carry on doing these. So it might be a bit more problematic for them in the future. So I think that you know, maybe the Atari route might be a good route. You know, even more Spectrum models like the Sinclair Plus 2. I'm just having a quick look at the back wall on here. Maybe even a Plus machine, or a proper 128 Plus in the keyboard, the whole lot, you know, basically to make sure that you've got that kind of retro vibe rather than the minis with non-functional keyboards, because I do believe the ZX Spectrum one was quite a big hit, as well as the full-size Commodore machines that they've produced. So let's have a quick look at this and then see what it's all about. So taking the machine out of its outer sleeve, you've got the C64 Black Edition. I've taken off the shiny plastic cover because it does reflect a little bit of light. It's not bad at all. It's packaged a very similar way, or in fact, actually the exact same way as the original Mini, with your joystick here and your little Commodore 64 machine here, which is, or the C64 machine here, which I quite liked, and I still like the way they've done it. So it is very nicely done in its own little separate boxes. And you also get USB, HDMI, but no brick, no power brick, which is something that, you know, is kind of normal. Again, taking the plastic shroud off the joystick, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this. It feels like it's got nice little switches in it and fairly mushy buttons on the bottom, but you know, overall not too bad, and it kind of suits the theme of the machine, which is nice. But you know, overall it's kind of a repackaged Mini, really. It's a repackaged Mini, which, you know, is to be expected. So just going to quickly get it powered on, see what it's like, and then just see what one or two of these games alike, especially the more modern games on here. Going to have a look at Sam's Journey and maybe a few others. I'm not going to go through setting it up because there's multiple videos on that. It's literally pick your region, such as PAL, NTSC, or whichever, type of display you want. If it's, you square looking, or if you want it to fill the screen, or if you want it to look a little bit more like a CRT. Nothing really any different to the Mini, which I've done a video on previously. So let's get this done and let's have a good look at what this thing can do, what this little machine can do. I'm sure it's going to be good fun, but I'm not too sure whether or not it's really worth buying at the moment. If you've already got one of the other retro games, the C64s, either the Mini or the Maxi or the VIC-20 and so on. So let's have a quick look. Okay, so we have, just going to go through and quickly get this done. English. Okay, so just carousel, which is the normal one for now. And there we go. It's the same tune, same theme tune, etc. So we'll just skip around and I'll try one that I wanted to use in the first place, which would be, if I can find it, Sam's Journey. Okay, it's one of the nicest kind of platformer games out there, and it's really one that I would like anyway. So, but they haven't changed much on the title screen really. They've just put the 25 games on the bottom of the carousel. Music's the same, style's the same. And to be honest, I mean, I wouldn't pay the amount of money for this, just for this game, because you can buy it. But I think if you're really into this game, it's a very easy way of getting it to run. So while I was just looking at the intro, you can see that it's quite a faithful reproduction anyway of what a Commodore 64 would have looked like back in the day, other than the size of it, etc. But so far, the joystick on it is very good. Still trying to work out which SID chip that they based this on. I've got to say, it's very quick. It does seem probably a little quicker than what a Commodore 64 would run this at in original hardware. But yeah, it's a nice looking game. It's does really well. So yeah, this one's actually quite good. So again, I'm not sure about the speed. It seems to run it very, very quickly. So let's just exit the game. No, it is on PAL. So yeah, I would have thought there would have been NTSC the speed it was running at, but again, really good kind of recreation of the original 64, which you'd kind of expect. So let's have a look at some of the other newer ones. I'm just going to quickly run through it to see if it's actually worth it, just doing a few little games on here, really. Just leave everything as is, just to see what it's like. Seems very kind of, I don't know, reminds me of Impossible Mission. It does have some nice music to it, so that's cool. I'm just going to flick through them now. I'm not going to play them really. I'm just going to see what it's all about. So yeah, again, nice kind of looking game. Music's great, as you'd expect on a Commodore 64. So I'm just going to exit this one. And this one looks quite a nice game, but I don't know any of these modern games, so I'm just having a quick look. Oh, I see. So you move the character around by actually telling it where to go on the action side of it. Okay, but anyway, it's different. Again, we'll just try another one. Okay, so again, it's quite a nice looking game for a Commodore 8-bit game. Music's great. It's a single screen at a time game, so but I'm more interested in listening to the kind of music that's on there. It's quite good. Again, that's probably one I would actually play quite a bit really to get used to it. But I'm quite enjoying the SID chips, the chip tunes on it. I think one of the biggest things about the 64 was its sound. It's a sound that very difficult to recreate properly, especially with modern hardware. And they've done quite a good job with this one, but it's something that's missing with all of kind of today's full-on orchestral kind of sounds. There's hardly anything where it's properly synthesized in this way, and this is what I think these kind of machines really excel at. Now, this is where it kind of gets a bit odd, because it's asking you to press the return key, which then you have to use the buttons on the bottom of the joystick, because obviously it was never designed not to have a keyboard. This one's quite a funky game actually. It's quite good. The graphics are pretty good. Oh, they're more along the style of not Commodore. They're more along the style of like a Sega style game, which is quite nice. Well, yeah, I can see the appeal of that game. I think might want to play that one a little bit more. So there's some really good titles in here that seem to be stretching what the 64 could actually do. Again, it's a case of kind of very late, because if these games were out at the time when this was current, I think it might have had a longer lifespan. It's another Impossible Mission style one, I think. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's not a bad game at all. Really, I think it kind of RoboCop-ish-esque more than Mission Impossible, but it's got some very good tracks on it. I'm just briefly going through these actually. Nikki and the Seeds of Doom. Let's see what this one's all about. Okay. Oh, okay, so it's a puzzle style game. There's vibes of Monty on the Run on this one, I think, or Monty Mole. Oh, got to find a lever. So it's a side-scrolling puzzle game, which is actually quite well done. Well, actually, it's another game I could actually spend a bit of time with, so that one's quite good. So, okay. It's not what you think it's going to be. Nope. So there are quite a few side-scrolling platform games which you would expect, but they're really making use of the sound capabilities of the 64. Not so sure how much this joystick would last out. It feels pretty substantial. I mean, obviously this isn't going to be as extreme or intensive as this would have got, or this Commodore would have got when it was in its heyday, because it's an occasional use machine, I think, this one. It's not going to be your sole console. Okay, so this machine's kind of surprised me, really. It's just, it is literally just a Commodore Mini, the C64 Mini in black, with 25 games preloaded on it. And I didn't kind of expect much. I thought, "Ugh, I've already got one. Why am I buying this?" And I wouldn't have bought it, to be completely honest, because I've already got the C64s that they've produced up to now. And I've been fairly happy with them, to be honest. They don't get a lot of use because I'd rather pull out my original machines and just use them, because it's not really a lot of difference setting up an original machine on this screen than it is one of these. Um, but there's a big but as well. The C64 Maxi I use more because I've preloaded lots on a USB key, and it just plugs it into the HDMI cable, which is always set up here, and then off you go. And that's the same as the USB-C cable as well, all ready to go. But there's a one big but on this one, which I'm quite surprised about, is the games. The quality of the games are very good. You got to kind of think that the games on here aren't your just collection of retro titles, which you can get from a lot of other places. You can see them on emulators and so on. You can run them on your PC. You can run them on lots of different handhelds as well. These are modern iterations and modern creations for the Commodore 64, and I've been pleasantly surprised with them. I've just flicked through them here. I haven't really um, done a lot of effort into showing you each individual game, because that's not what this is about. This is more of a review kind of thing on something that I wasn't really intending on getting anyway. And the games themselves have been really good, and I've enjoyed flicking through them and playing the odd 10-15 minutes on each one of them just to get a feel for them. And I will be returning and picking up my favorite games and just playing on these as I go, because they're really good. Um, some of the games are, they're streets ahead of what was on the original Commodore 64 when it was out back in the day. And there's been a lot of effort put into the sound and also the graphics and the movement on it. So um, I'm quite surprised. Is it worth the money? Not so sure. I think if you like the games, because a lot of these you will struggle to get downloads for, etc., or you'd have to pay individually for them, then this is probably worth it, which I'm kind of beginning to think it is. Um, if you've already got a other version of one of these, then, and you've got a huge library of software already installed, maybe not, maybe not. But if you weigh up the cost of purchasing each individual game that you like on these, maybe it's going to come to the original recommended retail price of one of these. And it would be nice just to have the console to plug in without having extra USB keys and USB sticks and all this kind of thing, which would make this more of a sensible purchase. So I was originally looking at this as a point of view of, oh, really? Not another one? Are they just trying to make some extra money out of, old hardware, or old ideas, which is what mainstream manufacturers do anyway. But not really, because I don't think the cost of the unit outweighs the original cost of the rights to publishing these games. So I think really you're paying more for the software that's on it than you are potentially for the unit itself, because the unit itself is pennies really to produce, because they've already got the case, just got an injection mold, some black dye in it, and they've also got the PCB set up. They've probably got them already produced anyway as blanks, and they just reflash them to be this version rather than the original version. Um, yeah, and at least there's one thing so far. I haven't come across the anomaly where you can buy a UK version of one of these, as in a UK shop, or a PAL version, and it's an NTSC only version, which they did on the original Mini. There's a lot of people out there who were buying the Commodore Mini, the C64 Mini, not realizing that it's not running the PAL suite. So everything just appears at the wrong pace, especially when you're playing PAL orientated games, which I think the vast majority of games were, to be honest, that was on the original Mini. So far I haven't seen that anomaly either. Would I buy one? You know what, I probably would, just for maybe a handful of games that I've really kind of warmed to, I've really liked. And it's also a very quick way into a nostalgia style hit, especially with that music, etc. So, surprising ending to something that I was thinking about originally, going, why do I want one? But it's quite surprising because having seen the games, having seen the library, yeah, it's not much of a massive stretch just to get this little console with all of the games that you would probably bought anyway on it already. So I don't think there's going to be much of a price difference if you like more than a handful of games that are on this machine. So yeah. So anyway, so far retro games is kind of not quite batting 1,000 because I wasn't taken with the 400 Mini. That should have been a 400 full size, and that would have been much better. But they're not far off, and I hope they will consider and think about doing an ST, because the software library for that machine is big, and also there's a big user base for the Atari ST out there, especially if they can incorporate some form of USB MIDI software into that on a full-size machine. They'd probably have a big hit on their hands. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Bye-bye.